Welcome everybody to the Short Sports Show. I am your host, Daniel Short. Today is Saturday, May 30th, last Saturday of May, and can you believe it, guys? It's already about to be June, which you know what that means. We are getting closer and closer to football. I know we say this every week, but it's true. It's true. We're getting closer, and I am excited because today's show, we have a ton, and I'm saying a ton of football news to talk about. It's been forever for us to talk about some good college football news and the NFL as well. Other than that typical stuff of what's happening to Tom Brady, what's happening with Adrian Peterson, we got actual news, real different new things to talk about, and I'm happy. I'm happy as well as you guys. So a couple quick things before we start off the show. Doing a new thing with the show as we start. We are at episode 99. Now, I put that up there, what episodes we are, just to, for everybody to know where we're at and where we have started from and, where we're at now. And once we get to episode 100, after episode 100, we won't, be putting what number we're at anymore, just because I might be able to, start putting some more titles and things like that. But a lot of new things are coming next week on the show, and I've been waiting for. Now, of course, throughout this entire show, we've never had an intro song. That will be something that's going to be happening next week, as well as different things we're going to be doing with the show to make it more interactive with you guys. It's one thing that I've really been wanting to do. Now that we're slowly but surely we are growing a fan base, that I want to be able to be more interactive with you guys, because that's something that's important to me when I listen to other radio stations, other podcasters. Being interactive is the main thing, because of course I'm not making this show so I can listen to myself. If I want to talk about these stories, and if I want to do all that, I would just read them myself instead of making a show for no reason. The show is for you guys to get a different taste, a different flavor, that you normally get off of other places. So with that, we're going to be more interactive, both from Twitter, Facebook, as well as the actual show. And one thing I'm going to start doing is a type of Q&A session. Now, the questions are for, obviously the show. So anything you guys want me to talk about, to get your take on, my take on something, or anything that I might not have talked about in the show, or you want me to go, further detail on, you now have the opportunity to do so starting next week. You just use the hashtag The Short Sports Show, tag me in it as well, and basically just say whatever, where you're from, and your name and stuff, and you'll be on the show basically, because the way Spreaker is set up, this is where my main little cabin area. I'm spending too much time on this now. I need to wrap this up. I can't really, take calls or anything. And I really don't want to start buying all that equipment, because I'll be going off to school pretty soon, where I'll be in a real radio station, which hopefully I can transform this show onto there as well. It'll still be on, all the, Spreaker, YouTube, iHeartRadio, iTunes. It'll still be on all that. But I'll also be in a real radio station with real radio equipment type things. So the whole point was to be more interactive. So we're going to start a Q&A thing starting next week on this show, and it's going to be exciting. So be ready. You can start tweeting me now. If I get some there in today's show, which again, it is 8 a.m. in the morning, so I don't know if most people are awake right now. But if you are, go ahead and tweet out the show. We'll go start it today. If not, no worries. We'll start next week, and it should be really exciting to start doing that. And I got a couple other things lined up that I'm not going to say just yet, because I'm still trying to figure out how I can incorporate it into the show and make it very effective with the time that I have. So, with all of that being said, next week is going to be probably our best show ever. If not, today may be our best show ever. All right, so, one last thing. Now, I didn't have a show last week, and I know when I said I wasn't going to skip any more shows, but as you guys might have heard, I'm in San Marcos, Texas. We were hit pretty bad with the flood, and I'm sure all of you guys have been seeing the floods and the tornadoes, all the other stuff that's happening in the Texas area as well as Oklahoma. we got hit pretty hard. I was at my girlfriend's place when it all happened, and she was in the flood area. I didn't know what was going to happen that day. We had to go through it, knee-deep water. I felt okay. I wasn't too scared, but I'm not going to lie. It was very crazy. Thankfully, we were able to get out of there. We were kind of stranded for a few hours at a car wash area, which I know what you're thinking. Why would you be more water? It was a higher land, so we were okay. The evac people were also next to us, but they were full, so we couldn't go with them, which I thought was, cool, whatever. Anyways, if you guys have never seen those evac vehicles, if you're claustrophobic, that might not be the best place for you to be at. So, because that's what I am. I'm claustrophobic. I saw what it was like inside there because they opened it up when the people were about to leave. And I saw and I was like, there's no way I could get in there. I'd rather take my chances and climb up on top of the roof or do something and take my chances because I could not get stuck in there. Because if something were to happen where the car just stopped and we were stuck in there or something, I'm freaking out because there's like a 3-inch gap of a window seat that you can see out because everything else is all locked up, of course, because it's preparing for a flood or whatever else. Could not do that. So thankfully we ended up being okay, and everything was safe. She lost a majority of her things, but we're able to get some of it back and also just be able to regroup a lot better. Sadly, my grandma's house was completely destroyed, along with a couple other friends and families' homes. So if you guys know any of the donation type things or foundations and stuff like that, please go look at them and please help out to those foundations and also donate to them. They need all the help they can get right now from all over, not just in San Marcos, from all over the state of Texas and Oklahoma. Anything, even $1. You don't understand how much $1 can go a long ways to helping out. $1 for each person, they're set. So anything you guys can do to help out around these areas would be great. If you're I know majority of my listeners are in the Austin, San Marcos, Central Texas area. If you were affected, be sure to look out those foundations and get the most help you can possibly can, and also share the word to other people. But let's get started with this show. Thankfully, the show was safe. All my stuff was safe, so we can get on with this show. And I know a lot of people have been wanting. Here we go. College football news first, and we have a ton of college football news to talk about. And I believe it should stay like this throughout the until we get to the offseason of next year. So here we go. Ohio State head coach Urban Meyer said Friday that quarterback Braxton Miller will not be transferring to another program and that there are no plans for Miller to switch positions. That's what Meyer told reporters at a news conference, saying, quote, he's playing for Ohio State this fall. Of course, Miller, who was the Big Ten Offensive Player of the Year in 2012 and 2013, missed the 2014 season with a torn labrum in his throwing shoulder. But because he's graduated this spring from Ohio State, and with Cardale Jones and JT Barrett at quarterback, rumors have been circulating that he would use his graduate transferability option for his final season of eligibility. That, of course, is apparently not going to happen, and I do not understand it. I truly don't. I understand the fact he's been there, for the 4 years, or I don't know if he's redshirted, maybe 5 years at Ohio State. And, he is just, for a lot of people, that's their big school. That's the school. They want to stay that. They got the degree, and they want to continue to play football and wear that uniform for their college career. But at the same time, Braxton, you have a shot to possibly go in the NFL, and it will go down. I mean, he'll probably get, undrafted free agent if he doesn't play, but he definitely can't play another position. Not because of his ability, but because, he's got to limit the amount of hits he takes. If he's barely throwing 35 yards right now, what do you think is going to happen if he tries to play a receiver and just gets hit? It's not going to work out. Cardale Jones is going to be there. JT Barrett's going to be there. You got other quarterback recruits that, for some weird reason, they still want to go to Ohio State and know that for 3 years they could possibly be on the bench and then probably try to transfer. But Braxton Miller, he could go to any school in the country right now. They would absolutely accept him. I think you got to take your shot and say, hey, thank you, Ohio State. Things just didn't work out. I will always be a Buckeye family. I've got my degree there. You've done what's, some people can't. Bam, move on. Go play football somewhere else. Think about your career. I don't know. So I highly doubt he's going to transfer now. I mean, if he hasn't done it already, it would be stupid to do it any later than now. He's already missed the spring. I'm honestly surprised that he wouldn't go to like Houston. You had the offensive coordinator of Ohio State, Todd Herman. He went over there. Why not go play for Houston? He's doing something at University of Houston. Bam. You can, not only would you still be loved by Ohio State fans are still going to love Braxton Miller no matter what. But going to Houston and you taking that team to a very high level, they haven't been since Andre Ware? There back in that time, you would be loved in Houston as well. And the way the Houston Texans are playing, you might even get drafted by them in the first round if things end up working out. I believe Braxton Miller has the capability to start for any program, even a top 5 power conference program. And things, I don't know. JT Barrett, Cardale Jones, I got them winning. One of them winning the starting position. Braxton Miller's going to be the odd man out. He's got to do something. If I was him, I'd leave. I would have left a long time ago. The Big 12 schools will split up a record of $252 million in revenue. It's the 9th year in a row of increases. The total revenue of 4 to 10 schools, up to $220 million last year, was revealed Friday at the end of the conference spring meetings. So Baylor, Iowa State, Kansas State, Oklahoma State, Texas, and Texas Tech will get average full shares of about $25.6 million for the 2014-15 academic year. Now, West Virginia and TCU didn't get the full shares because of how the rules are set up with the Big 12 and being a member, which is really weird. I saw there the article that if you're in the SEC, like with A&M and Missouri, that they joined, they get full shares since the first year they were there. Big 12 is like one of the only conferences that you don't get the full shares, or the only conference at the Power 5, whatever. But anyways, West Virginia will get $23 million and TCU will receive $24 million, which, I mean, it's not like a huge drop-off compared to, I understand the average shares of those other schools, the other 8 schools, they get 25.6. TCU and West Virginia at 23 and 24 respectively. Not a huge thing. I mean, you obviously know Texas and Oklahoma are going to get the biggest shares because, the alumni and everything else, whatever else they get. But the revenue does not include a third-tier broadcast rights such as $15 million a year that Texas gets from ESPN for the Longhorn Network. So, there's other money that's going to be out. But from the Big 12, I'm glad. TCU, $24 million. Not bad at all. Stay with me here, guys. Caviar? I hope I said that right. Russell says his suspension from Notre Dame has been lifted and the cornerback will rejoin the Fighting Irish for the 2015 season. Russell, a senior, was serving his university suspension during the 2014-15 academic year and missed, of course, the 2014 season. The suspension stemmed from an academic fraud investigation that also resulted in suspensions to Devaris Daniels, Eliar Hardy, Kendall Moore, and Ishaq Williams. He started all 26 games as a freshman and a sophomore and was preseason All-American candidate as a junior before the suspension was handed down in July. He had 109 career tackles and 3 interceptions, and he posted on Instagram how excited he was to finally be back and be playing for the Fighting Irish. Now for Ishaq Williams, though, the senior defensive end will enroll into summer classes, and his father, Sean, told South Bend Tribune, however, it is unclear if Williams will be able to join the team. So we'll have to see and keep up with that. As for Devaris Daniels, he left Notre Dame to pursue an early NFL career, and Eliar Hardy transferred to Bowling Green, while Kendall Moore, sadly, his eligibility expired at the end of the 2014 season and was not able to go anywhere else. Which, really does suck when, your senior year and it's completely taken away from you. I don't know if he wasn't able to transfer. I guess it wouldn't have mattered. He could have transferred, but he lost his year his eligibility. So don't cheat, guys. Don't get in trouble. Main thing. Former Oklahoma State quarterback Dax Garman has transferred to Maryland, the school announced on Thursday afternoon. Garman earned his undergraduate degree earlier this month and will be immediately eligible for the Terrapins, which I think is the weirdest name. But I guess I really can't say that's a weird name, as they're the Turtles while the TCU is the Horned Frogs. So, yeah. Let's go Amphibians. Right? I think so. Stay in school. Garman played in 9 games and started 8 last season for the Cowboys, throwing for 2,041 yards, as well as having 12 touchdowns and 12 interceptions while completing 54.9%. He began his career at Arizona before transferring to Oklahoma State following his freshman year. His best game came against Texas Tech, where he passed for 370 yards and 4 touchdowns in a 45-35 win. Now, Maryland's side is, they're replacing 3-year starter and C.J. Brown at quarterback, and senior Caleb Rowell had the inside track to getting that starting job, but he missed the spring practice while recovering from a torn ACL. So now, got a quarterback competition. I know they're losing one of their wide receivers. I saw it on there. I don't know why I didn't keep it. His last name was Leaks. Was it Marquise Leaks? I believe so. Maryland fans, y'all will correct me. He is withdrawn from school for personal issues. It is not known if he will try to, re-enroll again. So Maryland, it's got a little bit of issues, especially at the receiver spot. Stephon Diggs left early to go to the NFL. A couple other receivers are gone. Dax Garman could possibly help them get, do something. 9 communities, really cities. I don't know why they would say communities, but I guess because Miami and South Florida, that would be okay, whatever. Have officially bid on the 2018-2020 college football playoff title games. Wednesday marked the deadline for cities or communities to place a bid for the next 3 college football playoff championships. The 9 committees are submitted bids, are Atlanta, Charlotte, North Carolina, Detroit, Houston, Miami / South Florida, I guess that's the community, Minneapolis, New Orleans, San Antonio, Santa Clara, and Santa Clara. The 3 championship sites for the 2018-2020 are expected to be announced in October, and of the 9 cities and communities, Houston and Santa Clara were the only ones to bid on all 3 years. Here is the breakdown throughout the 3 years. So in 2018, these are the only cities / communities that will that are able to host the college football playoff championship game. That is Atlanta, Houston, Miami / South Florida, and Santa Clara. In 2019, it's Charlotte, Detroit, Houston, New Orleans, San Antonio, and Santa Clara. And then again in 2020, it is Charlotte, Houston, Minneapolis, New Orleans, San Antonio, and Santa Clara. Of course, it all started with Arlington, Texas, who hosted the first ever college football playoff title game in January. The next 2 championship sites will be held at University of Phoenix Stadium in Glendale, Arizona, home of the Arizona Cardinals and this past year's Super Bowl, and Raymond James Stadium in Tampa Bay, Florida, obviously also hosting the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. None of the first 3 championship sites bid on the 2018 through 2020, which is Arlington, Arizona, and Tampa Bay. But I really do like the sites. 2018 is going to be interesting. Atlanta will have their new stadium by then. Miami will be, I believe, will be complete with their new stadium. It's going to be interesting to see. I hope it's, Atlanta or Miami. 2019, going for San Antonio to win one of those, 2019 or 2020. And hopefully maybe there's a Houston and San Antonio, and then like a New Orleans type thing. I may be able to do like a road trip each 3 years to go to Houston's and then go to San Antonio and then go to New Orleans. That would be pretty sweet. But anyways, moving on. This is most people aren't going to know who this guy is, but I needed to put this story out there. I needed people to hear about this, and wow, how this is just going to make you scratch your head at early morning. In a statement released Thursday night, Rutgers head coach Kyle Flood announced that Darian Daly has been dismissed from his Scarlet Knights football program. The dismissal comes after a handful of days after Daly, along with another, quote, business associate, was arrested and charged in connection to a Florida armed robbery. Now you're thinking, okay, all right, that was stupid. He robbed somebody. Usually, most robbers are going to rob somebody, a couple $100s, maybe even more, a couple thousand. Nope. These guys got a whopping total of a beautiful $20. Let that just sit in your head early Saturday morning. $20, ladies and gentlemen. That is all. Exactly. That is my point. Just complete. Wow. $20. That is what they wanted to steal. That's what they got. Daly was a true star member of the Scarlet Knights 2014 recruiting class. He redshirted last year, and he was expected to compete for significant playing time this upcoming season. And, of course, that is out the window because he wanted to rob somebody of $20. I'm sorry. That you deserve to lose your scholarship and everything. Well, one, robbing someone, that's just terrible. And not saying you're supposed to, The whole point is that was just, he's stupid. That was it. $20. Wow. Earlier this week, outgoing SEC Commissioner Mike Sylvie confirmed that his conference was looking to stiffen penalties for schools whose fans rush the field / storm the courts following wins. The previous penalties were on a sliding scale with $5,000 fines for the first offense, $25,000 for a second offense, and $50,000 for each violation thereafter within a 3-year period. Excuse me. After the 3-year period, the slate was clean. Moving forward, the fine is now $50,000 for the first offense, $100,000 for a second, and then $250,000 for a third offense. But that's not all. There is no 3-year clean sweep, wipe, whatever. Anytime after your third offense, it is $250,000 thereafter. So it goes on forever and ever and ever. Yeah. So they are going to be real strict with anybody storming the field or the court, whatever. It is not happening anymore. $150,000 is huge. I mean, if the past, offense, that was your third time, and that was huge. Now that's just your first time if that happens. After that, it's $100,000 and $250,000 every time after that. Yeah. The SEC's also finally added a good rule, and I think every conference, no matter Power 5 or lower, should be adding this. Check this out. The SEC is to ban adding transfers discipline for, quote, serious misconduct. Georgia had proposed a rule change that would bar all SEC schools, from accepting transfer students who had been disciplined for what was labeled as a serious misconduct at the student-athlete's previous institution. Some observers believe that the initiative had a little chance of passing. Well, they were wrong. It has been passed. It is in effect. Georgia's proposal passed, banning transfers who committed serious misconduct, defined as sexual assault, domestic violence, and sexual violence. Of course, every case will be reviewed, but anything like that, again, a serious misconduct, they are not allowed to transfer to any SEC schools. And when you look at this and you're reading, you think to yourself, well, that should just be common sense. But, we know how it is. If it's, I'm trying to think of a player. I mean, anything. And no matter what the player is, no matter if he's the number one player overall, like let's say Marcus Mariota, hit a girl, and Oregon said, hey, you got to go. Not one school, not even the smallest school, should be able to take that type of player. I think it should be, not only SEC, it should be everybody. But, of course, SEC was the first to jump on it, so they're going to get all the freaking credit. But I think that's just common sense. I like it. I think every conference should do that to really – I mean, it's already common sense not to do any of those things, but it still happens. Let's, put an extra line in there that says, hey, you do that, you are not transferring to our school. Don't care what your stats were, what you did in high school, what you did last season, what you've done in your college career, and what you are projected to do if you're going to the next level. You are not coming to any of our schools. You will be punished. I like it. It's strict and it's just smart. I think every school should do that. Hopefully more conferences will pick that up. I don't think they can do it this year now because they've already had their meetings, but who knows? They might be able to. If they are, they should do it. And if not, next season when they can do it again, do it. After 10 days exactly 10 days after Notre Dame quarterback Everett Golston became a Florida State quarterback, now Florida State quarterback John Franklin, his high school coach, revealed to the Orlando Sentinel that the former player, John Franklin, has decided to move on from the Seminoles. He will be transferring. It's big news after Franklin had exited the spring as the unofficial number 2 on the depth chart behind Sean McGuire. Now, of course, everybody moves down because we all know Everett Golston will become the starter. But a lot of observers said Franklin would be able to continue pushing for the job once summer camp kicked off again. But in confirming the decision to move on, the head coach of South Plainton High School, which is where John Franklin went, Doug Gatewood, stated that Franklin is, quote, looking for an opportunity at another school. Gatewood added that he'd be open to the opportunity at another position, but this is the weird part. If he was, why didn't he just switch over, play another position at Florida State? Why not just stay there? Because he posted this huge paragraph, almost 2 paragraphs of, thank you, blah, blah, blah. He's already practiced as a wide receiver in 2014, so why wouldn't you just move over if you're open to playing another position? Because Florida State lost a couple weapons on the offense. I don't know. But anyways, Franklin was a 3-star member of Florida State's 2013 recruiting class and was rated the number 25 overall dual-threat quarterback in the country. Tennessee was the only other Power 5 program to offer Franklin a scholarship. And, of course, after redshirting as a true freshman, Franklin appeared in 2 games and, again, practiced as a wide receiver in 2014. So, be interesting to see where he goes. If he wants to play quarterback, don't go to Tennessee because they already got someone in Joshua Dobbs, who I think is one of the best quarterbacks that no one talks about. So we'll have to see this season. And the last news for college football is ex-Virginia quarterback Grayson Lambert is going to visit University of Florida and University of Georgia. Nearly 2 weeks ago, it was announced Lambert had received a release from his Virginia scholarship. Lambert could immediately enter either the Bulldogs or Gators starting quarterback, as he will receive his degree from the University of Virginia late next month and will be eligible immediately at any FBS school. But those aren't the only 2 schools that are interested. Colorado State, Fresno State, and Purdue have also shown interest in Lambert, who have 2 years, not 1, but 2 years of eligibility remaining. So he can come in this season, this fall. That'd be 1 year, and then he's got another. Last season, Lambert started 9 of the Cavaliers' 12 games. He threw more interceptions than touchdowns, with 11 interceptions to 10 touchdowns, while completing just under 60% of his 261 passes. And he ended up, of course, losing the job to, I believe, a guy named Matt Jones or something like that. So I would personally like him to go to, Colorado State or Purdue, just because, they haven't enjoyed Colorado State's enjoyed some success at football, but maybe he can help them get up another level or something. And Purdue, they're Purdue. But Florida and Georgia could enter just like that started. But that's a huge thing, though. 2 years of eligibility remaining for him. But let's move on to the NFL, and we still got a good amount of news here. Michael Bennett wants a new deal. The Seahawks defensive end wants to stay in Seattle, but he also wants a new deal. And he's been staying away from OTAs as he negotiates for one, saying, quote, trying to get the contract right, excuse me. I will be there shortly. Bennett is entering his second season of a 4-year, $28.5 million deal, and I understand he has been very productive for the Seahawks and has made a huge factor for that defense. But man, you're still getting paid, $28.5 million. That's out of 4 years. That is what you're getting paid. Do you really need to leave, or really have to hold out? You're just hurting yourself and the team. That's all you're doing, because you should be able to work that out. Go another year. Go into your third year of playing. Play like you have been. You're going to continue to play very well. Then when you go into your fourth year, then you should start talking about getting a new contract and all the other stuff, because, of course, players don't like playing on a 1-year contract. Right now, it's too early. It really is. I understand what's a new contract. Everybody on the Seahawks wants a new contract. They got to deal with Russell Wilson. They've got some of their players already signed. Michael Bennett, you will get yours. Just wait another year, man. Just wait another year. The Atlanta Falcons. Oh, this story. I just heard about this morning. It was late last night, I believe, or yesterday. The Atlanta Falcons have waived linebacker Prince Shimbo after the player was charged Friday with killing his former girlfriend's dog. What is up with Atlanta and people killing and fighting dogs? Like, what is wrong there? The investigation was completed Thursday. Police said Shimbo was charged with a felony aggravated cruelty to an animal. The dog died from blunt force trauma. In case y'all want to know what the dog is, if y'all haven't heard, it's a Yorkie. The small, tiny, barking little dog. It's probably a good keyboard length. If you look at a keyboard, it's probably how big they are, maybe even a little bit smaller than that. This guy is huge, almost 250-something pounds. This is what the Atlanta Falcons said after finding out, saying, quote, we are aware of the charges that have been filed against Prince Shimbo. We're extremely disappointed that one of our players is involved in something like this. Accordingly, we have decided to waive Prince Shimbo. The attorney for Prince Shimbo told reporters that Shimbo said he was putting the dog in its cage. He kicked it after it bit his hand. You're going to tell me a 6'2", 6'3", 250-pounder got bit by a tiny little Yorkie, which, I mean, yeah, dogs can bite pretty hard. I understand that. But you're going to, kick that tiny little dog? I mean, I don't know. It says, he also went on, when you're a small dog, it doesn't take much with the size he is, adding that the dog's death was accidental. When they got the autopsy back or whatever for the dog, they went and searched everything, to see how it died. It had broken ribs, a crushed eye, and all this other, facial mess, all messed up. One kick, I mean, this guy was doing a ton to this dog. He had to kick it not only in its ribs, but then you got to kick it back in the face or punch it in the face or whatever. I don't know. It's disturbing. It's screwed up, and this guy should not be in the NFL. And actually, I'm not even going to start that. Whoa, back up. I should have never said that. Oh, man. Okay. Hopefully, I'm not going to say anything because people are going to be like, I'll say why. I don't want to be attacked here. I know I just said that he should not play in the NFL because he killed a dog. He beat a dog to death, basically. But then when we got Greg Hardy, we got other players hitting a woman, and they're still playing in the NFL. Okay, my bad. Did not mean that whatsoever. This guy is just screwed up. That's all. No one should hit a girl, and no one should freaking kick a dog to death. That's just screwed up. Okay, let's move on. The appeal hearing for Tom Brady's 4-game suspension will be held June 23rd. If necessary, the hearing would continue until June 25th. The NFL Players Association has asked Commissioner Roger Goodell to recuse himself from the hearing, the appeal, because it said that he lacked impartiality and would be called as a witness. Goodell has indicated he would not recuse himself, though he has not officially answered the union's request. Now, of course, Brady was suspended for the first 4 games of the 2015 season after an NFL investigation found that he was, quote, at least generally aware of a scheme to use underinflated footballs in the AFC Championship game. The New England Patriots were also fined $1 million and stripped of 2 picks, a first-rounder in 2016 draft and a 4th-rounder in the 2017 draft. When asked Friday at the team's OTAs, Patriots head coach Bill Belichick said, quote, he isn't looking, or not quote just yet. He said he isn't looking back when asked about the penalties, adding, quote, we're on to next year. I like it. Typical Belichick, just moving on, ignoring all the questions, but really, there's nothing else to do. I mean, this is stupid for the appealing. You're dragging this out longer and longer. It's just dumb. Be happy with what you got. 4 games. Again, I went on a rant about this a couple weeks ago. I'm not going to do it again. It could have been worse. It could have been 6. It could have been 8. It could have been the entire freaking season. Be happy it was just 4 games. Deal with it and move on. Your schedule is easy enough that you can bounce back. Even if you went 0-4, you could probably go 12-4 after that, or still make the playoffs. The AFC East is weak. There you go. Chill out. Stop extending this. We need to talk about other news in the NFL other than Adrian Peterson and Tom Brady and the New England Patriots. Let's move it along, people. When the Eagles signed Tim Tebow, fellow quarterback Mark Sanchez dismissed Tebow as a, quote, camp arm. Coach Chip Kelly disagreed. Now, Eagles' third-string quarterback Matt Barkley agrees with Mark Sanchez, suggesting that Tebow was brought in so that the Eagles would have another guy to throw to receivers after former quarterback K.J. Keene switched from quarterback to wide receiver. This is what Barkley had to say via NewJersey.com. Quote, he's not taking my, or NJ, I'm assuming that's New Jersey, but NJ.com. Quote, he's not taking my reps on the field. He's an arm we need for the team with GJ. Did I say KJ at first? GJ, making the move to receiver. Tim's just one of us. He's trying to make the team just like we all are. It hasn't affected my approach to how I feel the team thinks of me or how I'm going to compete every day. So he kind of explained himself a little bit, but I don't know. Why does everybody have to hate on Tim Tebow? Why can't they just move along like any other player? If you don't feel any no threats from Tim Tebow, that you feel like your position is good and that's it, why do you have to keep bringing it up that Tebow's just a camp arm? That just tells me he's better than you. And that he can be better than you, and you're afraid of that because you need to keep bringing him up and saying he's just a camp arm. That's all he is. If he's just a camp arm, then why do you keep bringing him up? Why don't you just ignore him and say, all right, I'm still going to do my thing because I'm not worried about him, just a camp arm. But just tell that to yourself. You tell that to media. You're already telling me basically that you are afraid of what Tim Tebow can potentially be, and not only that, but you would lose your job. That's what you're telling me. He's already got it in your head. And if you can be that affected already, how can I trust you to be a starting quarterback in the NFL and lead a team to a victory if you're afraid of what defenders could also do? I'm just saying. Matt Barkley, you got to watch it because Tim Tebow, he makes that team, you won't. They are not going to keep Sanchez, Tebow, Barkley, and whoever else they're going to have. I think Tim Tebow's just, or and Bradford, whatever, but everybody's saying the best. They're not going to keep 4 quarterbacks. They're going to keep 3. And it's Barkley or Tebow, unless Sanchez screws up, which I highly doubt. We'll see. Gary Kubiak wants Peyton Manning practicing under center. New Broncos head coach Gary Kubiak will make significant changes to the offense, and that includes quarterback Peyton Manning. he has to be spending more time under center at OTAs. Manning said he's fine with making changes in Kubiak's offense, saying, quote, "Whatever they ask me to do, I feel like I can do it," Manning said. During the first 3 years in Denver, Manning was given free reign to run the show on the Broncos offense, but he won't be given quite the same free reign this year. Gary Kubiak doing a little bit differently. I think if you look at past with Peyton Manning, you let him run the offense majority of the year, majority of the games, you're going to put points on the board and you're going to be all right. When you come in, to do your thing as a coach with Peyton Manning, that should really be towards the end of the year and heading on to the postseason, because some of the decisions haven't been working out for Peyton Manning, as we all know. Disappointing playoff losses year after year after year. So I think Gary Kubiak, you should really kind of do your little thing, test him out, make sure he's versatile and being a shotgun and under center. But you know what Peyton already does. You know what he's going to bring to the table throughout the 16 games. Scoot back a little bit. Just scoot back a little bit. That's all. That's all I'm saying. After reporting on the first week of OTAs, Tony Grossi of ESPN Cleveland describes Johnny Manziel as, quote, "a fish out of water" in the offense the Browns are installing. Grossi writes that the Browns don't seem to be developing Manziel so much as they're moving on from him. After practice, the media were allowed to watch, and Manziel seemed eager to run and not confident enough in his passing. And Grossi reports that one source who witnessed another practice says Manziel was actually even worse in the session that the media didn't see. Now, I wanted to throw this in the show just because, of course, we're going to hear about this. Oh, Manziel looks really good. He looks like he can really compete with Luke McCown or whatever that guy's name is. Then, you got your others where they're saying, yeah, he still looks lost. The rehab thing really hurt him, being out of football for so long, blah, blah, blah. There's no in the middle. It's you like him, you hate him. You can't be in the middle. I wanted to put this in there because this is the first time I've heard something that said that he was that bad or the Browns are already moving on. Now, of course, there's conflicting reports about, do the Browns really want to put up with Johnny Manziel again? I feel like the front office, from what I've read, from what I've seen, from what I've heard, that the Browns are keeping confidence in Manziel. Not, pushing him and that, oh, you got to do this, blah, blah, blah. And they're also not like, oh, we're just ignoring him. If it happens, it happens. I don't think it's like that. I think they truly feel confident in Johnny Football in hopes that he will become their franchise quarterback, as well as me. I mean, I'm trying to be non-biased here. I mean, I love Johnny Manziel. I truly hope he does win the starting quarterback job this fall and becomes week one starter throughout the year and does good things for the Browns. But again, I mean, you got to take the fact that what he's missed already. And, of course, he's not going to be throwing darts and hitting his targets right on time. But I think there's going to be, from all these people that are saying how, quote, how bad he is right now, I think there's going to be a huge improvement from now until we get into actual summer camp and preseason. Preseason is going to show us a lot. I know people say take it with a grain of salt. I don't sometimes. I mean, other than once it gets, towards the third, fourth, especially somewhere in the second quarter. That first quarter, you got ones going out there for a couple series. Don't take that with a grain of salt. I just think Manziel is a lot better than it was before, and I don't think the Browns are moving away from him and not developing him. The offense is most likely different. I don't know. I haven't seen their offense, this OTAs and whatnot, but I think it's way too early to rule out Johnny Manziel as a starter or saying that he's bad or anything. I think it's way too early. If you do that, I feel like that's kind of ignorant to just say he's, no, he's not going to be a starter. Or they're already moving on from him. They don't care. If they didn't care, I think they would have made something happen on draft day. Not the movie, but the actual draft day think they probably would have traded him and got like a 5th, 6th, maybe possibly 4th round draft pick out of it. If they're so convinced on moving on and trying to get, Bryce Petty or Brent Hundley, because they fell in the draft. If they didn't feel confident in Johnny Manziel, don't you think they would have drafted another quarterback? You really think they keep that much faith in Luke McCown to be the starting quarterback that, we're not going to draft another quarterback and we don't believe in Johnny football. Luke McCown's going to be our starter for this year, and whatever happens after that happens. That's far off to think that. I really think they are not only keeping hope, but they're keeping, true faith in Johnny Manziel to do something. But that's just me. Moving on, only got a couple more news. 10 months ago, Kirko Alonso suffered a torn ACL that cost him the entire 2014 season with the Bills. In the time since, Alonso's been traded to the Philadelphia Eagles. He's healed and so fully that he surprises himself on how good it feels, saying, quote, "I honestly didn't think I'd be doing this much." This is what he told Phillies.com at Eagles OTAs. Continuing saying, I've just been going on how I feel, and it's feeling good. And also, one thing that kind of concerns me here, he later says, part of the reason he feels good is that he's running without a knee brace. I feel comfortable without it. I never really liked wearing the brace. Unless it's already time to take off that brace and you're not supposed to be wearing it. Okay, you passed that phase, good. But if you're still supposed to kind of be wearing it, I think that's really risky to not wear it. I don't care if you don't like how it feels or wearing it while you're walking, running, whatever. You have to still wear it if you're still in that phase of wearing the knee brace, because you got to protect yourself. We've seen too many players, young and old. We just saw Dante Fowler tore his ACL. You got to continue to wear that knee brace. And again, if he's out of that phase, then ignore all of that. Say, good job. I'm glad you're out of it. Continue to keep going and be a leader for that Philadelphia Eagles defense. If you're supposed to still wear that, it's your fault. Again, if you tear your ACL or you suffer a setback while you're still in that knee brace wearing time period, we'll just have to see. Rams running back Trey Watts, an undrafted free agent who made the team in 2014 and appeared in 14 games last season, has been suspended for the first 4 games of the 2015 season for violating NFL's substance abuse policy. He didn't really do too much on 7. He only had 7 carries for 30 yards. Watts is still eligible to continue participating in all offseason activities, including training camp and the preseason. But the suspension starts after the 4th preseason game. And lastly, of course, we heard this week that Broncos placed left tackle Ryan Clady on injured reserve on Friday, ruling him out for the 2015 season. The Pro Bowl left tackle suffered a torn ACL on Wednesday, and he will now have missed 30 of the last 48 regular season games because of injury. Clady's roster spot will be taken by veteran tackle Ryan Harris, who was signed with Denver. The club said Friday the 30-year-old Harris began his career in Denver and played 2 seasons with the Houston Texans under now Broncos head coach Gary Kubiak. However, Harris played right tackle throughout his career, which leaves rookie Ty Sambrailo and veteran Chris Clark among the in-house replacements for Clady. So huge loss for the Broncos, and maybe not too huge, because if you've already missed a ton of games, then, Broncos are already used without him. But with him, the Broncos offensive line has been one of the best in the league. And, of course, protecting that blind side of Peyton Manning is so crucial, because I'm pretty sure we're out of that phase where we have to worry about his neck. But then again, you never know. He takes a big hit from, anybody. His neck could, I don't want to say it, but, it just could be bad for everybody, and other than the team they're going against. But we'll have to see. And lastly, to wrap up this show, this week, June 4th, is Game 1 of the NBA Finals. Now, when the playoffs get hot, and now that we're in the finals, this is where I start talking about it, because the NBA season is way too long to continue to do a show about them every single week, unless you're a true fan like I am with the NFL. I can't do that with the NBA. But it is time for the NBA Finals. Who do you have winning the NBA championships? It is the series that all NBA fans, majority, have been talking about all season long, who they've been wanting to watch. And now we finally get it. It's Steph Curry and the Golden State Warriors against LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers. It's the league's MVP. Going against the most iconic player in the NBA right now. It's the league's best team against the most intriguing team. It's the West Coast against the Midwest. It's going to be a heck of a series. And right now on this show, right now, ladies and gentlemen, tweet it out right now. We are going to break it down for you. We're going to talk about all the games. And I'm going to give you my predictions, as well as I want to hear from you what your predictions are for the NBA Finals. So it all starts Game 1, Thursday, June 4th. It's the Cleveland Cavaliers at the Golden State Warriors, 9 p.m. Eastern Time on ABC. Then Game 2 is Sunday, June 7th, again at the Warriors. Game 3, Tuesday, June 9th. All games are, of course, on ABC. June 9th is Game 3 for in Cleveland. Game 4 at Cleveland, June 11th. Game 5, if necessary, and most likely, is Sunday, June 14th at Golden State, 8 p.m. ABC. Game 6, Tuesday, June 16th at Cleveland. And Game 7, if, again, necessary, Friday, June 19th, Cleveland at Golden State, 9 p.m. ABC. It's going to be awesome. You got a home court advantage is the biggest thing here, because that's all on the Warriors. Warriors, you can check that off right now. We can write down home court advantage. Get a little checkbox, put Cleveland on one side, Golden State on the other. You got the Warriors checking that off. They are 7-1 at home in the postseason, and they went incredibly the best in the league, 39-2 at home during the regular season. For the Cleveland side, regular season, they weren't exactly what you would call road warriors. They were 22-19 on the road during the regular season, but that is not a factor anymore. The Cleveland Cavaliers are an impressive 6-1 on the road this postseason. Now, again, the Eastern Conference, it's weak to say the least. But to me, Dan Short, host of the Short Sports Show, all indications point towards Golden State winning this thing. They have a superstar, an amazing supporting cast. The depth that the Golden State Warriors have is huge. They got balance. They play excellent on both sides of the court. And that offense, I'm all about offense. And they can score. Houston, obviously gave them problems because they were a team that could put up points lightning fast, just like Golden State can. And that's the problem with the Cavaliers. I don't think they can keep up scoring-wise with all the injuries they're having. You don't have Kevin Love anymore. Kyrie Irving is banged up right now. That puts all the pressure on LeBron James. Now, when it seems like it's anytime in the Eastern Conference playoffs, he can be clutch. But when it gets to that NBA Finals and all the pressure is on him, he knows what's on the line. It's iffy. Golden State, it's not going to be all on Steph Curry. It's not going to be all on him. The media will try to make it seem it's all on Steph Curry, but it's not. He's got a huge supporting cast. All of them can shoot. All of them can make it and really light up the board. Cavaliers, I don't think they don't have the overall team that's capable of hanging around with the Warriors. It's going to be, and don't get me wrong, it's not like it's going to be a sweep or a 5-game series. It won't for either team. But Golden State, I got them in 6 games. I hope it goes 7, but I have them going 6 games. June 16th, Tuesday, Golden State at Cleveland, 9 p.m. Eastern Time on ABC. I got it. I got Warriors. I hope they win it too. And again, I am not a LeBron hater. I am not a Cleveland Cavaliers hater. Had it been Cleveland, Houston, or Cleveland, really anybody else, if I was talking to someone about this, there's only 3 teams I would want to win the NBA championship other than Cleveland. And not, well, in this order. Of course, my LA Lakers, but that's not going to happen. The San Antonio Spurs or the Golden State Warriors. Those are the only 3 teams that I would want to win a championship over the Cleveland Cavaliers. After that, I like Cleveland because I want them to get that ring that LeBron desperately wants for that city. But, same time, I like the Warriors. It's going to be one of the best series we have seen in a while. Of course, last year was great with the Spurs. But this one is going to be very exciting. It's going to everything about it is exciting. I'm definitely watching it all the way through. But I hope you guys enjoyed this show. I know this is a short sports show, and this was about an hour long. But I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, be sure to like it, whether you're listening on iHeartRadio, Spreaker.com, iTunes, YouTube. And again, be sure to share it with your friends and family. I can reach over 50% more listeners if you just hit that share button for one place, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, whatever else is out there for you guys to share. Share it with your friends and family. Let them know where you get your sports and news from. And again, thank you guys so much for from listening. And I will be back next Saturday morning. We'll recap, game 1 of the NBA Finals, which is June 4th. The next game is until Sunday. So we'll recap game 1. We'll talk about it, as well as the NFL and college football news once more. And it's episode 100, so can we get a hype? Can we get some? I need y'all sharing. I need y'all tweeting all week long. Send in your questions. I will have you guys on the show for it. It's going to be exciting. Episode 100 coming up for the Short Sports Show. And for you guys that have been listening and been liking and sharing it and all that other good stuff for me, guys, I appreciate the support. Episode 100, I can't believe we're almost there next week. Thank you guys so much. As always, God first, God bless. I'm out. Peace.